Hey. So I am just testing this out and gonna see what the sound is like. So hopefully it's okay. But okay. So I'm just here in my front yard actually, and I just thought I'm going to take this moment to do my live stream, and I hope you're going to be able to hear okay, because there is a bit of noise and there's neighbours and it's all happening. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, as you can see, and I wanted to talk today about writing from flow, because I think this is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with, because we all are so left brain dominant, and we all tend to get that the inner sensor turned on. So I have found, and I'm sure you can relate to this, but I have really found that it makes a huge difference when you don't even know what I'm doing here. It makes a huge difference when you are able to turn off that inner sensor. And there are a few great ways of doing that, but I wanted to tell you a story about when you know when you're in flow and how to get into that flow state. So as probably a lot of you know, or some of you might not, but I'm a massage therapist. So I've been doing that work for 20 years now. And it's something that, I'm really good at. I can connect with incredibly quickly and easily. And obviously after doing something for 20 years, and like I'm talking full time or pretty much for 20 years, I have thousands and thousands of hours of practice under my belt, and it's something I've always been passionate about. And, I've developed my own techniques, my own styles and all that kind of thing. So I find it incredibly easy to tap into flow in that space. And so yesterday I was doing a treatment, and the person that it was the first time I'd seen this guy, and he was very, very disconnected from his body. The sort of person who, never did any exercise, never did any, never had any, what can we say, like, just wasn't in his body. It was in his head, like most of us are, right? Like so many of us are. And what I see as my role as a massage therapist is to get people into their body and connect with their body, so that they can start listening to their body, so that they can start actually doing the things they need to do to be healthy. And that's my message that I'm bringing to the world so many times, over and over and over again, in my books, but also when I'm massaging. And I think I'm really in the flow when I'm able to do that. I turn the inner sensor off. There is no kind of, is this right or is this wrong, or what does the book say, or how should I be doing this? There's none of that. You completely, the way that I do it, I'm completely in flow. When I do that, I do my best work, without a doubt. And sometimes sort of, unusual, things that you would think, like, people even might say, why did you do that? And I'm like, well, it's that was just the thing that happened. That was where I was at. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, that is the way that most of my massages happen, and I really get into the flow. It can happen during things like cooking. Now, this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. Find a place in your life where you are in flow. It might be, like cooking, okay, for a lot of people, and I often cook like that. I don't tend to use the recipe. I tend to just really kind of intuitively work with, okay, what do I need? Obviously I taste, and a bit more of this, a bit less of that, or obviously it's a bit hard to have a bit less when you're cooking. You've already added the salt, and then you go, I need a bit less salt. How do I do that? Anyway, but you know what I mean. I guess the point is that when you're writing, you need to get in that space as well. And because for many of us, we might have cooked for, years and years and years, and cooked thousands of meals, and, I've massaged for years and years, and I'm sure there's things in your life that you've done where you have been in that space for years, been in that flow space for a long time. You've done the action a long time so that it's easy to connect into the flow space. That is what you need to find with your writing. And for a lot of us, because we might not have picked up pen and paper for a long time, or put fingers to keyboards for a long time. So it's still kind of like we're learning. We've still got the training wheels on. It still feels like we don't really know what the rules are, so that we can then even just go and break the rules maybe. That's the space that you've got to get into. So there may be a bit of practicing that has to happen. There may be a little bit of like allowing the mistakes, allowing the really bad meals to come out before you discover what the good meals are going to be. So that is what I'm going to super encourage you to do with your writing. And it starts with turning the inner censor off. One thing you can do straight away that is super easy, one tip that I'll really encourage is whenever you're writing is to turn off any spell checker type of thing. That little red squiggly line, if you're anything like me, it comes up a lot, will immediately switch you out of, so you probably know about left brain and right brain. So you've got your left brain is the one that is, and to be honest, I believe this has all been disproved, but we just sort of, I suppose, should we talk metaphorically speaking? It's the one that's to do with rules and cognitive thinking and structure. So that's I don't even know my left and right. This is left, is it? Yes, this is left. That's your left brain. It's kind of more mathematical, logical, structural, and then the right brain is the opposite. That's the creative, the flow, the one where there are no rules, the one where you really tapped into intuition and creativity, and that's the one you want to be writing from. So when you in that stage of getting the book out of your head, it is definitely about tapping into the right brain. And when you have spell check on, you will immediately go into the other side. Okay, how do I spell that word? You switch back into it immediately. It's not useful. It's not useful for your creativity, because it's hard for us to have both sides of the brain kind of working at the same time. We tend to be in the space of one or the other, and because of the kind of society we have and the schooling we have and the world that we have that totally encourages really this structural, logical right brain thinking, it's very, as soon as that snaps in, it dominates and pushes down the creative side. So you really need to do everything you can to create an environment where it's okay for your muse to come out. And I think that the best artists and creators and the people who make the most amazing music and paint and write and do the things that require that creative spirit are very good at tapping into that. And probably most of us are not very good at it unless we have practiced it and encouraged it and supported it. And so that is what I am telling you, asking you, imploring you, encouraging you to do when it comes to writing. Turn off the spell check. That's number one. Number two is definitely turn off distractions. Now, I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't kind of already know, but like all distractions, we do live in a world where distraction is kind of, I don't know, it's like built into our DNA for some reason. And oh God, I remember when I used to do trainings, and of course I'd ask people to put their phones on silent, because we'd have like 10 hours worth of work we'd have to do in like a 4-hour period. So I knew it had to be really like, bang, bang, bang. There was no time for anything except for getting the work done. So I'd ask people to turn their phones off, because, if they, it would be a distraction, and people would turn their phone onto vibrate. Oh, it used to drive me crazy, because it's like, it might as well be ringing. Like when that thing sits on the desk going, burr, 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 I mean, you hear it. Your brain is taking, whatever concept we were totally into, and we were kind of, going down that roller coaster. We're going down the mountain of, snowboarding down the mountain and understanding what we were trying to say. Now, bang, you've just like hit a rock, and now you're thinking, oh, who was that ring? Was that my husband, or was that, is that the school, or do I have to look at this? And everyone else, like, suddenly they'll think, oh, where's my phone? Was that my phone? it literally 5 minutes would be wasted every time that would happen. And, you know, when you've got like a group of 10 people that you're training or whatever, which I often would, you know, it could make a massive thing. So don't just turn your phone on vibrate, because that will distract you just as much as a friggin' ring. Turn it on silent. Not only turn it on silent, put it in the other friggin' room, or turn it off. The same with any notifications that come up on your computer. If you do have them, I actually encourage that you people turn them off all the time, because who the fuck needs them, really? Do we, you know, you don't need these notifications unless they're specific ones that you're sending to yourself. I don't know. Anyway, all those distractions gone. Clearly there's going to be family and kids and stuff which may distract you. So you've already got that to deal with. You don't need to make things even harder. I don't know. He was a trick that a friend of mine had, which I absolutely loved. She used to, with her kids. This was not so much for distraction, actually. This was so that they wouldn't annoy her when she was on the phone making her sales calls. She would, and her kids were of a certain age. I guess they must have been about 5 or 7 or something like that. And she would stand there making her phone call that she didn't want to be disturbed by, you know, some little 5-year-old going, "Mummy, mummy, mummy," with a wet washer in her hand, and they knew that if they came within a certain distance, she was going to be like wiping their face in that kind of motherly way that you do, not in a playful way, because she was trying to discourage it. So they'd just be like, "Oh, Mum's got the washer in her hand, like, let's just we'll stay away." And she got through her phone call without being disturbed. That's like a little bit off topic, but it's all around setting up an environment, I guess, so to help the creative muse come out, because the creative muse in all of us has been ignored for probably most of our lives, may even have been humiliated and pushed down and told that they're wrong. I mean, that often happens to kids when they're in when they're in primary school or younger, when they're in that very, you know, kindy and stuff. They're told, "No, you've got to colour with this colour, or you can't do it like that." Oh my God. Actually, I remember I was really lucky. I went to an alternative school, which was completely about like just letting the children do what they wanted and be what they wanted, and just complete freedom. It was kind of like Lord of the Flies or something. It was total chaos, this school. It was brilliant. I absolutely am so blessed that I went to this school. It was called Presshill in Melbourne. But for about, I think just for a couple of months of the beginning of my school life, before we went to Presshill, I went to just a normal state school. And the one thing I remember about that, apart from having like a really kind of sour-faced, bitchy teacher, but I do remember this teacher. I was playing Chasey with the boys, or I was playing Chasey. I was chasing a boy, and he thought he'd be really smart, and he ran into the boys' toilet, and I just was like, "So I'm coming in and like I'm going to tag you, and then you've been hit." Oh, how much fucking trouble did I get in because I ran into the boys' toilet? You know, I was completely told off and humiliated, and you're not allowed in there. And I was just like, what the fuck is this about? I cannot believe it. But that is the kind of thing. I mean, I would have been 5 years old, and suddenly I was told that something as ridiculous as that that was wrong. It starts a child kind of second guessing themselves and wondering if what they're doing is right. So my neighbours have just come out with all their little kids. But you know, this is the thing. It's that's the inner censor. So I'm not saying that my inner muse was like someone who was going to run into the boys' toilet. The point is, the inner muse wants to do what the inner muse wants to do. It's like when I was doing that massage yesterday. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. No worries. Yeah, no problem. Oh, that's funny. So when I was doing that massage yesterday, there was a time. Oh, that's right. I do this thing where I click my fingers. I don't even know why I do it, but I did it. And the guy said, "Oh, why are you doing that?" And I was just like, "Oh, I don't know. I just felt like I had to do it." Just don't censor it. Don't think, "Oh, I can't click my fingers because this client is going to think, what the fuck is she doing?" Don't do that. Just do what you feel like you have to do. Okay. Not only that, also, I mean, obviously I'm using this an example of massage, but it's the same with writing. I just sent my book off to the editor, and I had to give her this whole email saying, "Look, a lot of what I'm doing, I'm breaking a lot of grammatical rules, and you're just going to have to deal with that because that's how I write. I don't want it to be misspelled. I'm not purposely trying to do that, but there are a lot of times where I break the rules, and I do it because I want there to be like a music to the writing, and that's my intention. So I guess the point is that it's okay to break rules. If you're in a Muse wants to break the rules, break the fucking rules. If you're in a Muse wants to say things that are a little bit controversial, say the things that are a bit controversial. And all of that is part of writing from flow. Now, this is one of the reasons I'm talking about this today, apart from obviously the few things that triggered me, but the 30-day author boot camp, which actually started yesterday, the first lesson that we had was all about this, was actually like structured ways of getting into writing from flow, because I really feel that writing that first draft is probably the hardest step in the journey of becoming an author. So that's where we're beginning. We're beginning with like kind of nurturing that inner muse, how to tap into the right side of the brain, how to tap into the creative muse, how to encourage the creative muse to come out and always be there. So if you love the sound of this and it's really something that speaks to you and you feel like you want that support and that accountability, that's what you're going to be getting. Not only that, we've got 30 days of it in a row. It actually started yesterday, and you have only got today and tomorrow to get in, because obviously then I'm going to be closing the doors. So when you enter, there will already be a couple of lessons there ready to go. But there's also going to be live trainings and like I guess opportunity for a lot of coaching that will support you in getting that first draft out. So I would love to see you in there, because the stuff that I share there is taking this, but obviously going a lot deeper and really giving you the kind of support so that you can create that first draft, get it out of your head into the world, and be able to tell your story in a really authentic way that is going to matter to you and connect with your readers. That's what I'm all about. How do you actually write a story, a book that is going to connect, and that the books that connect with readers are the ones that sell, right? Those are the ones that people are going to read. And it's like a self-fulfilling kind of, I was going to say prophecy, but that doesn't seem like the right word. Self-fulfilling method. Each side works on the other. Because you're writing something that connects, it's going to sell. Because it sells, it's going to connect with more people. Like obviously, if your book's not selling, even if it's really good, it's not going to get in front of people. So that's what it's all about. Go to kylieansett.com/30day. It's not 30 days. I thought it was 30DAY, and you will see. Hey there, Jerry. Thanks for dropping your message in there. Yeah, go there and you will see what I've got it planned for you, or you've got a bit of an idea of what I've got planned for you over the next 30 days. And I am going to sit back and enjoy the rest of this gorgeous Sunday. I mean, this is my favorite tree in the whole world. Let me just show you this. These are my trees in my front yard. That's the road. And oh my God, I just love those trees. Look at them. The colour of them at the moment, actually, it doesn't really do them justice. Look at that. Oh my God, this is like a perfect spring day. And I'm just sitting out in the sun. I haven't even had my breakfast yet, but I'm about to. Okay. Just to remember, the world needs your story, so you need to go and write now. Okay, bye.